Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. It is the evening of June 7, 2021, and I'm hanging out staring at an aquarium that I've begun to enjoy more and more lately. Um, this is my newest indoor tank. It has been here, I don't know, 5 weeks, something like that. And this was the rehoming of most of my yellow guppies. And in doing so, I was trying to pull any of the yellow gups that I have that don't really have much orange in them. All of the orangish guppies are up there hanging out, and ones that are more red are over there and doing other stuff. Anyway, this is where I'm dealing with yellow. However, as they, sorry, it was an alarm to turn off some CO2 in another room. I'll do that later. Uh, and we'll keep rolling, whatever. Uh, in doing this, I did actually have a bunch of juveniles, and some of them colored out pretty nicely. Let me see if I can show you some of these guys. I didn't mean to put a male that would look like that in here, but whatever, he got in there, and yeah, I think we'll keep it going. So there is another male in here. Let me see if I can find him that's going to color out like that one. I assume they're siblings or something. Whatever. Anyway, I like these guys quite a bit. The ones with the a little bit of blue to them. Uh, I'm not sure if all the ones I've got like that are females or not. So far, all of them that I have found. Oh, there we go. Here's the guy that's going to be coloring like that other. Can't really see too well until he gets down in the light, but give it just a moment and we'll try to track the one that just went behind the thermometer, whatever. He's going like to the dim side of the tank right now, but anyway, really pretty markings. Kitty cat, thank you for putting your nose up to make sure the phone is still working. It is. She sniffed. She made sure it's working. Anyway, when that other guppy comes into the light more, I'll give you a show. There's Keanu. She's hanging. There are 3 lights on this tank. One is just an old school fluorescent tube that probably came with this aquarium or whatever that aquarium light was, forever ago. I didn't purchase it, don't know where it came from. It's just some old technology that I'm using because it's extra light, it's extra bandwidth in the photosynthetic range. You can't argue with more light. So it's a pretty dim light, so I use it as the one that comes on first and goes off last on this tank. There's also a very bright light, kind of like a rifle. I kind of moved it out of the way just a little bit because as it was, the cord was kind of hanging in front of the thing and whatever. It's more function around here than beauty. I'm not trying to show it to anybody until I'm trying to show it to somebody, but whatever. So yeah, there's a little bit of algae on the glass, whatever. I don't care about that. What I care about is the guppies and the plants, because this deep substrate tank, you can't really see too well about that, but it's more than the width of my hand there. It's a 20-gallon tall, and it has about 20 or so guppies in it right now. It also has ramshorn snails, Malaysian trumpet snails, and I think that's it for animal species. Uh, the guppies in here are pretty healthy. I'm happy for that because you never know. I mean, guppies may have some like kind of crazy diseases they're carrying around. You don't know it for a while, and then move some guppies from tank to tank, and then a lot of them get sick, and you don't really know why. But these guys seem to be stable. They're doing well. I've had all of them for well over 6 months. That or they were born to me and are healthy. Powering this tank is a small heater. Let's see, I don't know what size I've got. Probably a 100 watt. It is horizontal. There's also a single sponge filter. The air pump that's driving it is just one of these little guys, little Tetra, I believe. probably rated for 20 gallons, maybe even rated for 10 gallons. The plants are doing quite a good job of providing some oxygen in here. The soil and breakdown of nutrient below is providing carbon dioxide for the plants to grow. There are 3 lights. I didn't tell you about the third light. The light in the back, which I don't know if we're going to get a good view of or not. It's just an LED, like under shelf light. Hey, kitty. It shares a timer with some of my other tanks. The rifle flood lamp is a 30 watt 6500 K, 6500 Kelvin, that is, color temperature lamp. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean much about its output, but it does mean a little bit about the spectrum I'm interested in is at least included in this lamp. And I can say for sure that that lamp in specific is growing plants like crazy in one of my other tanks. So I was hoping that putting it in here would help the AR grow a bit, and it was just looking puny. Also, the swords, they were looking pretty rough because they were in another tank before it was torn down, and they were absolutely covered in algae. And I let some of my creepy crawly critters, snails and such, crawl across them and eat all of that algae off rather than cutting the affected leaves. Let me get kind of a close-up in with these. Now, these were actually just shaded for a couple of weeks, like with algae growth, in another separate tank that was started, sometime probably like March or something, and it had gravel as substrate. It was the very last gravel tank I have set up, or maybe ever will set up, but it went through its normal process of nitrogen cycle, and then as it was setting in and getting kind of comfy, there was a little bit of an algae bloom as things occurred in that other tank. And that was probably a bit my fault. I think part of it was overfeeding, part of it was me hoping the plants were going to grow a little bit faster than they would, so I was giving them a little more nutrient and light than they were actually using at the time. So I was growing algae instead. And from that, the algae got on my swords. Didn't do them too much service, but it didn't kill them. The trick there was I just had ramshorn snails in that tank. Eventually, with lower lighting and cutting some of that other stuff, the ramshorns just, crawled across the swords, ate everything that was growing on their blades, their leaves, foliage, whatever you want to call it. And I started tearing down the tank to replant it using deep substrate, and some of those plants came down here in this little 20 gallon. So this is what we got. So there's some Bacopa. I believe that back there is Bacopa caroliniana, Rotella rotundifolia. There's a Pogostemon plant, the Amazon sword, Echidnoris. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying that. Totally tongue-tied. I'm going to skip that for now. Echinodorus amazonius, maybe. This, I think, is a narrow leaf chain. No, wait. I may be misspeaking. That's a chain sword. I'll get back to you on what exact type it is. I'll have to compare. And over here, Storingen repens. These were tissue cultures. They're only a week or so old as far as how long they've been planted in here. This little guy down here is a hydrocaudal local to my yard. And let's see, ranunculoides, I believe, hydrocaudal ranunculoides. And it is a very slow growing and small plant. It doesn't get much taller than that. Let's see. It's about, maybe the whole width of my hand if it were to be mature. And these little things, very slow growing. I hope it gets a little bigger, but I haven't seen that yet. Down in this corner, there's a small Ludwigia repens plant. Moving toward the back, there's a bit of an elevation change. You can see the substrate kind of steps up here as it goes behind these rocks. But back there's some dwarf Sagittaria. There's another Amazon sword. I think that back there is a Lysimachia numeralis plant. It's Lysimachia. aka creeping Jenny. It's a garden plant to many of you. You may have it at your homes or in a pot or something. Some more rotala at the top. Kabamba. Which kabamba is that? Kabamba green. Kabamba aquatica. Growing back in the back there. Also down in here. There's some Java moss. The Java moss is in here because I'm hoping these guppies are going to start dropping some fry sometime soon. And I don't want them to all get snapped up and eaten. So there's Java moss back in there, just kind of hiding the cord that was going down into there for the heater. There's also some Java moss down in that low area, so maybe if some guppy fry were to dart downward, they wouldn't just be darting downward into open space and to their own doom. They would be darting down into safety. So that's really the goal of why this is getting planted heavily, is to protect guppy fry so they'll stay alive. And then down over here, where these rocks kind of come together, I pressed a bit of the Java moss in between the rocks just to kind of hold it, anchor it. I don't like using glue or anything. I didn't want to pull anything out, dry it off, mess up my stuff, so I just stuffed it. And it does kind of wrap around the other side of that rock as well. But there's a nice little cubby cave under the moss that maybe don't focus on the guppies, focus behind the guppies. Back there, whatever. In that area, there's a little cave that maybe some fry will be able to benefit from. The Alternanthera renici, I don't believe it was getting enough light. That's why I put the spot lamp on here, was to try to really force some luminosity down upon these guys. They were dropping some of their lower leaves, which had been in that other tank. Like I was saying, that it was very algae affected. The ramshorns did a great job of eating that stuff off, but when I replanted these plants need some time to really feel out their roots. They're going to drop some roots, establish them, and if you pull them up, replant them, even in the same tank, it stunts them. They're going to go, uh-oh, all of my little fine roots have been disturbed and broken and harmed. I've got to send them back out and regrow, reconnect with the substrate. Once it's done that, and there are plenty of nutrients, carbon in the form of CO2 and light available, then these plants will really start growing back out. So I fully expect that much of the middle of this tank is going to be a nice, darker than brick burgundy color, and it should be really nice. This tank really doesn't have any red light on it, so I don't think that the rotala is going to be tempted to turn red too much. In other words, it's just not a very comprehensive plant growing setup. This is stuff that was patched together, with the exception of the floodlight, which is kind of shining in the middle. That's got some nice spectrum availability, and combining the LEDs with a fluorescent, even though it's not an optimal fluorescent, it's not like a grow lamp, like some other stuff you guys might see. T5 grow lights were great, and regular T5s, not so great. This is a regular T5, but whatever, I have it, it's on there, and it just happens to fit nicely under the shelf. So if I stack a bunch of heavy stuff on the shelf, like old ancient cameras, it doesn't bow the shelf down because there's a clunky light under there. It also makes it kind of hard to service. Whatever. If I could change this tank, I would get a better flowing sponge filter. I do not like these guys. This is kind of the cheap Amazon thing. I'd ordered some, didn't care for them too much. Then I bought a couple of aquariums from someone and got like 4 more, and I use them. The sponges are a little bit fine. I would prefer they'd be a little bit coarser, and it's hard to get a lot of uplift and draw in through those. They don't have any ability to hold media like any kind of ceramic media for harboring beneficial bacteria. I would kind of prefer having a hang-on back with a sponge or with a pre-filter sponge on it. That would be my preferred setup. However, I don't have one that'll fit under the thing. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. I think we've hit the 15-minute mark talking about this little tank. I hope you enjoy the little yellow guppies. I do. I think the yellow sand, which, by the way, that's just pool filter sand. Nothing special about it, just hardware store pool filter sand. The granules are kind of like large silica pebbles more than sand. I'll give kind of a reference for size, but this is not fine sand. This is fine sand. This is concrete sand. This is actually a Quickcrete brand. I think it was a yellow and tan bag or something. This is just pool filter sand. Anyway, catch you guys later. Have a good night. If you like this sort of stuff, if you like tank talks, give me a like, subscribe, share, and I'll catch you later.